Sometimes people come to this through years of meditation. They sit and meditate for a long time, and the light goes on. But I really like what Paul did here, because he gives us another practice that's so simple in order to just have a little glimpse of it, a little taste of it, right? This is what he says. Here's the practice. Finally, beloved, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there's any excellence, anything that's worthy of praise, think about those things. I love that. Spend some time, he says, thinking about good, positive, edifying things. And in his words, the peace of God, which passes all understanding, will keep your hearts and your minds in Christ, in this other part of ourselves. This suggests that we actually need to learn to guard or defend ourselves against seeing the world in exclusively negative terms and images. It's almost like Paul has watched the evening news, right? He's saying maybe we need to take a Sabbath from the evening news. Because when you experience these things, you actually enter into another level of consciousness. When you think on things that are good, commendable, just, excellent, praiseworthy, noble, you have a little taste of ultimate reality. So, what I'd really like to do, we have about 5 minutes here. So, maybe a little bit more. So what I'd like to do is create what I was talking about at the beginning of the service, a little field of consciousness, by together doing this little exercise of thinking on things together that are just and pure and commendable and praiseworthy and excellent. And so I'm going to invite you, just for example, this is hard to do, right? Because it's so much easier to be thinking on negative things. What's that about? So let's just take just. Help me to think on things that are just. It could have happened yesterday, it might be, or any time in history. Something that is just. Let's think on these things. What comes to mind?
Women get a right to vote.
Exactly. Women receive the right to vote. Just. It's a beautiful thing. You know, I married 2 gay men up here a few weeks ago. Would have never happened even 10 years ago. Just. Right? It's good. Anything else with just?
The fact that people who are in wheelchairs can go on buses and move around the city more easily and go into buildings that they couldn't before.
We live in a world that's conscious now about accessibility for people who are in wheelchairs. It's a just thing. What about something that's pure? An image? Any image? Yes?
A sleeping baby.
Snow. Beautiful. Yeah.
A sleeping baby.
Yeah, a sleeping baby. Think on that. Sleeping baby. Music. Ah, pure. Touches the heart. Which? The dawn. Yeah. What was something, sorry?
Fall colors.
Fall colors. What was something that's praiseworthy? Image, thought. What was praiseworthy? It's praiseworthy. Miracles are praiseworthy. Yeah, sure.
Stained glass windows.
Stained glass windows. Yeah. Effort? Just making an effort. Getting up in the morning. Absolutely. Yeah. That is praiseworthy. I went to see a film documentary by Velcro Ripper, and there's this, it's partly about this community farm that was getting shut down by the city, and a whole bunch of people showed up to protest this loss of the community farm where the Hispanics were. So I just thought, and people stayed there for weeks at a time. You know, their actions are praiseworthy. Friends, we need to think on these kinds of things. Things that are just, commendable, praiseworthy. There's a whole field of, it's called positive psychology out there. And research are measuring the brains of those who have been flooded with positive images and thoughts. And what they're discovering is that they have higher levels of a hormone called serotonin, which is the natural hormone that makes us feel good. Theological language is what makes us feel God. And it's consistent also with brain science right now. There's this thing called neuroplasticity, where we can actually change our brains, our neural connections. We can grow new connections for good or for ill. And one of the things that helps us to connect the two hemispheres of our brain and think more holistically and more positively about the world is thinking on things like this. And it's also consistent with the field of quantum physics, because what they're discovering, quantum physicists, is that we live in a participative universe. In other words, we participate in constructing reality. It's not that reality is out there as an objective thing. I mean, it is, sort of, but to a large extent, we bring into focus the world that we, according to our perception. And so if we're always thinking about negative things, that's what we're attending to, and we're going to see only the dark side, the shadow side. So we need to learn this facility to tap into the good things, the noble things, the true things of life. Now, obviously, friends, I need to just add a corollary here. If we're walking around with rose-colored glasses and chirping to our neighbors about how great life is when they've just lost half the value of their portfolio, we're not only insensitive, we're out of touch with reality. Every Christian creed that's ever been written includes the line, Christ was crucified. And so we affirm that Good Friday is part of the rhythm of our weekly life. Bad things happen. But, especially today, on Thanksgiving, let's also remember that in those creeds it's only one line. And it's always followed by the line, on the third day, he was raised from the grave. Bad things happen in God, and God happens in the midst of bad things. And all Paul is teaching us to do here 2,000 years later is to add to our spiritual toolkit exercises that will help us to tap in to this other dimension of reality, this deeper, more essential being, this pool of joy and compassion. And we don't do it just because we need a little psychological boost or because we're feeling a little down. We can do it for those reasons. But for those of us who follow the Christ, it's because thinking on these things is actually a portal into the heart of God. We see things in the external world which actually reflect the heart and mind of the Holy One. That's why we do it. It puts us in touch with that reality. Then Paul finishes by saying, keep on doing these things. Keep on doing these things that you have learned and received and heard and seen in me, and the peace of God, which passes all understanding, will be with you. Happy Thanksgiving, friends. May the joy of Christ be with all of you.